Talo Falafa and welcome to Playmakers Rugby Stories, where each week we pick out one of the rugby characters of yesteryear and find out what they've been up to, but also divulge in some of the stories that we can actually find out about them. This week we've got Adam Thomson. Tomo, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Characters of yesteryear. What an introduction.
Hey,
I guess I'm in that category now, am I?
Well, you are a little bit, mate. I mean, well, what have you been up to? Have you formally retired?
Nah, I haven't formally retired. I've still got a little bit of itchy feet. Trying my hand at coaching, mate. Maybe play a little bit of club and see what happens.
Tell us what else you've been up to. I mean, you've spoken about the club rugby scene, but you're doing a little bit of coaching as well?
Yeah, a little bit of coaching, man. I had an opportunity to coach Hamilton Old Boys this year, so mate, jumped at that opportunity, sort of going through the levels, getting the coaching accreditation and just basically unpacking everything I've learned as a player and trying to bring the next generation through.
I want to sort of start from the very beginning before we touch on that coaching role once again. But you're born in Ashburton. You ended up going to Christchurch Boys with some of, I suppose, one of our best rugby players in New Zealand that's just recently retired. How was that growing up? And did you ever imagine that you'd be, going down and playing for the Highlanders, after your sort of upbringing in Ashburton?
No, not really, man. Like I was a true homegrown Cantab, and loved my footy from an early age. Grew up on a farm and kind of had that rural lifestyle, and then I guess went to boarding school in Christchurch, a prep school called Midbury. So I was quite young when I moved out of home and went up to the big city, and I was going back and forth playing for Mid Canterbury and the weekend in Midbury. So 2 games of rugby on footy. So mate, I was pretty keen. Went to Christchurch Boys High and played some school grade stuff for Canterbury, and then my mates were going to uni, so jumped on that train and moved down south.
Was it always a goal of yours to become an All Black, and if it was, when did you realise that?
Yeah, it was, man. I think it was, every little kid in New Zealand of that generation, I think, dreams of being an All Black at some stage. I remember a story going to the guidance counsellor, as you do, at high school, and sitting down. I think I was first year at school, and he's, how you sit those little, you go through the tests and answer questions, and they tell you what your ideal career choice is. And I was just like, look, mate, I'm going to be an All Black. I got it sorted, and don't worry about it. And he said to me, that's a lovely dream, mate, but we've got to, let's get some backup plans in place. And I was pretty adamant that I was going to be an All Black, so I made up my mind pretty early.
You had New Zealand secondary schools. It was quite a big transition, making the secondary schools team, the under-9 teams, under-21. So you came right through the grades, but also universities, mate. So you've done a little bit of study, and you made the universities team. Out of those teams, would that have to be one of the best sort of achievements you made sort of at that age?
Yeah, I did. I don't know if you played for universities team, but mate, that is that's a special type of rugby. Like it's the rugby's fun. It's expensive. The tours are amazing. Getting to tour Japan as a young man, and play against national sides, and that community around university rugby is pretty special too. I mean, I still get people I bump into and tell stories about our university trips and some of the coaches and that. So I definitely recommend that to any player that gets an opportunity to play university rugby, go for it.
Your move though from you've played age group stuff for Canterbury and that, but then obviously you've gone down to Dunedin and do a little bit of study and things like that though. How did you embrace the Dunedin Otago atmosphere down there?
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the biggest decisions I made in my rugby career. Like I said, I'd made some Canterbury teams there. By no means was a star of the region or anything like that. I was probably lucky to make that and get into New Zealand schools. But I remember a meeting with Steve Hansen, who was the coach at the time. You know what he's like. He's a pretty persuasive character, trying to get me to stay in the Canterbury region. And I guess if I was 100% about footy, I probably would have stayed in Canterbury. The powerhouse that they are, and their record speaks for themselves. But for me, the chance to to go to university and to get away from a city that I'd spent a lot of time in. That was a big motivating factor, and as any young man wants to do, is kind of spread their wings and get a bit of independence away from family and try life on your own terms. So mate, that was it for me. I got a basic contract out of school and went and lived the Scarfy life, mate. Played for university and had a great time. Scraped my way through uni and ended up staying in Dunedin and playing for Otago in the Highlanders. A lot longer than I'd planned, but absolutely loved it, man. It's a really special part of my life, and I love the place, love the people, and really treasure it.
Gee, I mean, that's huge. Like, you speak about that in terms of the whole scheme of things. When you look back, I mean, you met with Steve Hansen, who Canterbury were dominating at that time. And when I'll come back to Steve Hansen, because you've met Steve Hansen, you basically told him, "Hey, beat it, I'm going down to Otago because I think I want to study." So when he was part of the All Black coaching environment, what were you thinking then?
Yeah, Steve Hansen's unavoidable in New Zealand rugby, unfortunately, in that period. But we've got a good relationship, mate. Steve is probably instrumental in giving me an All Blacks opportunity. So, grateful for him and what he did for my career in terms of developing me as a player and as a man as well. So, things kind of panned out pretty well in the end.
Oh, so he was pretty happy. You kept in contact just as well, eh, mate?
Hey, never burn any bridges, Millsy. You know this.
That's the one, Tomo. That's fine. That's what we want to hear. So Otago in the Highlanders. You initially made the Highlanders, but there was a year that you didn't make it, and then you've ended up sort of coming back and really transforming into the player you are today. Tell us about that sort of comeback and the lessons that you had to get yourself back into the Highlanders team.
I mean, that was probably one of the most disappointing moments of my career. Was I made my debut for the Highlanders in, I think, 2006, got a couple of games. I thought that was kind of it. I cracked it and I'd be on a full contract the next year and things would kind of take off, but they didn't. Remember getting a phone call, Greg Cooper, telling me that I hadn't made the squad, so that was pretty hard to digest. I was pretty down on that, clearly, and then the opportunity came up to go and have a trial for the New Zealand Sevens, and made that. I ended up making New Zealand Sevens team, being on the circuit for a year, and that transformed my game. I credit my time with the Sevens into developing me into the player that I became and still am. Actually, Millsy, haven't quite retired, but the skills I learnt in Sevens, the fitness, been pushed beyond my limit pretty much. Under Gordon Titchens, who was a coach, did massive things for my game. That's why I recommend that any player these days, if they get the chance to play Sevens, jump at it, because it just takes you to levels that you didn't think you were capable of. I think as a loose forward, understanding space and awareness on the field, what to do when you make a line break, and obviously skills under pressure. And it's a game where everything matters. Like you make a mistake, it could cost you the game. Every involvement is crucial. So in terms of your mindset and your skills, it's a wonderful experience and great for any rugby player.
You're one of the characters, no doubt. Someone that I was sort of, will always remember in terms of that. But tell us about the John Cena. Was it the John Cena wave? I mean, I've seen Lelia Masanga and his sort of dancing styles, but you brought that out, mate. Every single try, you scored a heck of a lot of tries too. So your try celebration was second to none. Was he a big fan of yours growing up? You didn't want to pursue wrestling, did you?
Yeah, man, I enjoyed the wrestling, like the classics from the 90s, and then I guess I grew up as a kid watching that stuff. But it was actually born out of the Sevens circuit, and you know what it's like on there. It's festival rugby, and my mindset around rugby is you got to have fun, you got to be enjoying what you're doing, and celebrate the little things, and you score a couple of tries, and it kind of just came out of nowhere, like. I guess it was being on the Seven Circuit and not in Super Rugby at the time was just trying to give a little reminder that I'm still here. But mate, it stuck. I enjoyed it and I carried it on and still do it today. You know, like I said, mate, every time I play footy, mate, it's my passion. I love what I'm doing and it makes me happy. So I'm gonna express it.
You know, you talk about being happy. 2008, you made the All Blacks. You've come in. Who did you room with? Did you end up rooming with Richie? Who did they put you with?
Mate, they put me with Richie pretty much all the time. I guess they were hoping that something was going to rub off.
I'll always, mate, when I say you're a character, I mean you changed a lot of the sort of the mindset around you know, people in the environment. You know that. You know, gone were the days where they said you have to be a certain person, but you're always your own person. You know, if you had to do something, you wanted to do something, speak your mind, or you know, drift off. I always remember Brad Thorne in one of our in one of our meetings, in the leadership group meeting, saying, "Mate, is Adam Thomson all right, mate? He just keeps drifting away, but you're your own man, and you weren't scared to be able to go. Well, I'm going to go off and you know, and do this. You didn't have to be a particular sort of All Black, and it's something that's always sort of you know, remained in me, the fact that you changed that mindset in some ways, and the fact that you're colourful, you're bright, but you're also I wouldn't say clown, but you're also very I suppose you know, funny in terms of, you know, in what you did. Was that something that you were conscious of coming into the All Black environment, particularly when you're rooming with guys like Richie McCaw, who's just straight down the middle? You know that, mate, and you know, and bringing your bubbly self to that phase.
Mate, that's a good question. It's actually something that I guess I struggled with early in my career because it was very different, and a lot of coaches saw that not as a threat, or just, I guess, didn't know how to deal with it. Thought that maybe my personality was me not caring or not being engaged. But and I actually tried to change it a lot. You know, tried to force myself to kind of do what everyone else did, and you know, thought that's how the way to get places. But you know, as I got a little bit older, I kind of realised that this is me, mate, and this is the way I operate, and I can't really be anyone else. I've just got to kind of back myself and stick to what I'm doing. And you know, eventually I found coaches that you know, that understood me and they appreciated me in the environment. And you know, I'm not going to pretend that I was easy. I'm not for everyone, but mate, all I can do is be myself. And mate, I was 100% committed to the game. I gave everything I had. Just did it in my own way. 2008,
you made your debut, as we just mentioned, but you're a Rugby World Cup winner as well. You were in the environment where a lot of, you know, special players have come through, possibly our best sort of years in terms of All Black history. But that Rugby World Cup, that was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. Man, what a special time to be a New Zealander and to be a rugby player. It was, man, it was just so intense. Mate, you remember the pressure, the time in the hotels. We couldn't even get out of the front of the hotel. We had to sneak out back through the kitchen. And yeah, Kiwis, they mean well, but everywhere you go, it's you know, it's kind of a little jab of, you better win. Yeah. So it's almost like we had the jet fueled up on the tarmac, and if we lost the final, we were handed in our passports and we were off. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us about now. We're transitioning out of New Zealand and your overseas stint. How hard was that decision, and you know, what did you make of it, and you know, leaving New Zealand and for something different?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't difficult at all, really. I think post World Cup, I had another year with the All Blacks, which I absolutely loved. End of year tour, and then decision to kind of pack up and move to Japan, and it was the right time for me, I think. You know, I'd achieved what I wanted to in Japan, in New Zealand. And for me, with rugby being a global game, it just seemed like too good of an opportunity not to go and see the world and be in different environments and meet new people, and or, you know, almost the equivalent of a working OE. So I'd closed the door on my time in New Zealand, and I was really happy with what I'd achieved, and was excited about a new opportunity. And Japan, after kind of weighing up some options, was the right fit for me.
Another massive challenge, obviously off the field, in terms of what happened and how you were hospitalised up there, and that was huge in terms of where you've come from and sort of what you've been through as well. I mean, you look back at that now, mate. Such a tough thing to go through, but if you can give us an insight about sort of that time in your life.
That was huge for me. I guess it's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to go through in my life physically. I had a pretty lucky career in terms of getting through with only really minor injuries, if you look back on it. And this is my first major setback. And I think there's a part of every rugby player that kind of thinks that he's 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And for me, that was the first time that I kind of got struck down, and there was nothing I could do about it. I had lumbar bursitis, which wasn't diagnosed for a couple of weeks, which is a bacterial infection of the spine. So the bacteria kind of settled in a disc in between your vertebrae, which is really low blood flow area. So once it gets in there, it's really tough to get out. But just huge amounts of pain. Being in a country where I didn't speak the language very well. It was a different system in terms of you couldn't just walk into an A&E and get treatment. I think I got bounced around to about 3 different hospitals at about midnight when I tried to go to hospital. And then, again, it took a couple of weeks for them to diagnose what was actually going on. So just being in a lot of pain without not much pain reliever, and getting wheeled off to CAT scans and MRIs and blood tests, and then no doctor being able to tell me what was going on. So it was pretty dark times, but I had an amazing partner, Jessie, who was by my bed the whole time. We'll always be grateful for that. And a coach by the name of Dave Dillon, who was coaching me at the time. He absolutely went to bat for me. Was in the hospital bed, looking after me the whole time. So, in a weird sort of way, I'm actually really grateful for it, Millsy. It was I can look back on it now and realize that sort of adversity actually changed me and made me reassess what a lot of things in my life, and overcoming that, and having the mindset to get through an ordeal and to come back and play footy, which is I made that decision pretty early on to be that this isn't going to be the last chapter of my footy career. It's going to be on my own terms, and I didn't have any grand designs of coming back and being a super rugby player. I just wanted to be on a club rugby field and play the game again and sign off on my own terms, and that that drove me through the rehab process and getting fit again and getting back home.
And you've got a love for photography now, mate.
Yeah, I guess photography started for me, and my love for travel. Like I mentioned, leaving New Zealand was a big opportunity to explore the world, and Jess and I love to travel. Every opportunity we got in the off season, we'd jump on a plane and head somewhere new. And I just wanted to, not so much document where I was going, but photography gave me, kind of opened up the way I saw the world. It makes you slow down when you have a camera, and you look for little moments, and you actually start to see people a little bit better. I love, just photographing people in their own environment, and seeing, how different parts of the world work. And I guess you talk about the photographer's eye, where you just see things a little bit differently, and that was what drew me to pick up a camera. And then it kind of developed into into work stuff. Now I do a lot of photography for Jess and I have a skincare business. So I'm doing a lot of lot of product photography and a lot of portraits for that as well. So something that was born out of passion, and now it's it's put me to work a little bit too. So it's good.
You're talking about your business side of things. You're very business minded now. I mean, you haven't sort of finished up as you've mentioned, but you're very driven also. Off the field in terms of photography, your skincare range that you've just mentioned, but also plant-based food and stuff like that. Has that just come about through experience and things?
Yeah, I guess it was. I mean, I've been plant-based for about 4 years now. It was curiosity, really. Like I read a little bit about it. Saw some of those documentaries on Netflix at the time, which were pretty popular. Had a bit of time. I think it was in the off season where I started. I thought I'd just give it a go and see if it was the right fit for me. And I actually really enjoyed it. Felt great. Energy levels were balanced, and then kind of got through about a month of it, and realised I didn't miss meat. It just became second nature to. Just to be plant-based. And when you take meat out of the equation, it pushes you to, to try different recipes and try different foods. And I guess, Jess is part Malaysian as well. So there's always plenty of spice and flavour in the food. So, for me, taking meat away wasn't a huge deal.
You're with old boys. You still got aspirations just to put the boots back on. How far up are you sort of looking in terms of? I mean, you're looking in great nick. I mean, what are we looking at? NPC or another year NPC, mate, or what?
I don't know, man. Like, I'm officially a player coach for old boys, so we've got a plan in place for me to go back and play a bit of club, and mate, that's just for the love of the game, because I still feel good. I still feel like I can contribute on the field, and but that's not going to be me standing in the way of young players being developed. It's unfortunately we have a pretty thin squad with a few injuries, so I'll fill that role. But if there's fit guys ready to go, then they'll get the priority. But again, it's I'll see what happens at mitre level. If I can get through a club season and body's feeling good, and then there's an opportunity, then that's great. But I realise I'm at the tail end of my career now, and it's about young guys developing and getting opportunities. So, mate, I'm more than happy to fill a mentor role and to do a bit of coaching, and if I have to play, because we're a bit thin, that's what I'll do. But mate, any way I can be involved with footy at the moment is just like I said, it's my passion. So, mate, I just want to be there.
Would you love to be back in there in an admin role where you take your coaching as the aspirations to take your coaching sort of to the next level professionally?
I haven't made up my mind about how far I want to go. It was really about testing the waters. It actually started, I think, with the Chiefs last year. I got called in for injury cover. Ended up staying the whole season with them. Played the odd game, but actually, took on a bit of a mentor role with some of the young Locks and Lucies, and started coaching them on a bit of detail and kind of just around how to approach rugby career-wise, and just the little things I guess you take for granted as an older player, and just passing on that knowledge. And I got a real kick out of seeing some of those guys actually, light bulb moments where they, it stuck with them, and their game grew, and there was that excitement and kind of I guess shared joy in knowing that you'd worked hard and it paid off, and then they'd grown as people and grown as players, and that for me that sparked the desire to test out the coaching waters.
Oh, good on you, Tom. Hey, thanks so much for your time, mate. I apologise for calling you yesteryear, mate. You're very much relevant, my brother, and I look forward to catching up with you. I'm
still in denial, mate, but yeah. I'll get it.
That'll come, mate. It'll come. You'll know, mate.
Let it sit with me for a while, okay? We'll come back to it.
Good on you, mate. Good on you, brother. Thanks a lot for your time, Tom.
All right, brother. Pleasure. Thanks, Millsy.